welcome to the Professor Knits podcast. I'm Nikki, I'm your host. This is a podcast about knitting, spinning, and dyeing yarn. And today is Sunday of the Labor Day weekend. And so I'm home, I'm relaxing on this beautiful day, first weekend in September. And the kids are busy. Oscar is playing Minecraft behind me, so if you hear some zombies being destroyed, that's what that is. And then my daughter is in one of the bedrooms watching YouTube videos about mermaids. So I've got the electronic babysitters on in full swing. So I am winning this parenting thing. What? Okay, so can you be quiet, honey? I'm doing a podcast. Look, my husband's working, you do what you gotta do, right? So, I hope everybody's having a good beginning to their September. I am very happy because as you can see, I have a finished object. Now, I'm gonna stand up and show you my Athens tank top by Shellie Anderson, but I'm not gonna be able to show you too much. Let's see. And it goes quite long. It goes down to the middle of my thigh. I'm gonna lift it up a bit here. I am wearing a camisole, so that's not my skin. I am wearing a camisole. There's the split edges. And yeah, it's a fait accompli. It's finally finished. And I'm pretty happy because I actually like it. And I expected to, I don't know. I disliked knitting this so much because it felt cursed. It just felt like I was constantly breaking needles or making mistakes and frogging and starting over. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm a very tactile knitter. How the yarn feels between my fingers when I'm knitting it really matters. That's why I think, you know, alpaca, silk, cashmere, wool, you know, the natural protein fibers so much. No, animal fibers, pardon me. Yeah, protein fibers versus plant. Anyway, and I just loved stopping and looking at the fabric I'm knitting and sort of admiring the stitch definition and the pattern. I mean, that kind of stuff is a large part of the enjoyment that I get from knitting is the tactile and visible sensation. And when it comes to linen, I just didn't get any of it. Like, I don't like the way linen feels as I'm knitting it. I find it really fiddly and easy to lose stitches. And when I stopped to admire the fabric, it didn't look very good, and that's partly because this is a very loose gauge. It's a very sheer fabric. That's why I have to wear a camisole underneath it. So I fully expected, I did not enjoy any moment of knitting this. I didn't. And so as I was finishing it up, I was kind of thinking to myself, gosh, I'm gonna talk about it on my podcast, but how do I convey that I didn't like this at all without being rude to the designer or the yarn? Not that it matters. I mean, I can have my own opinion. But anyways, I put it on and I love it. Love it. I blocked it, although you don't get that same satisfaction with blocking linen as with wool, but once I wash it a couple times, it'll soften up even more. But I love it. Like, it's comfortable, it's cool, it's breezy. Like I said, I would get up and show you the whole thing, but I'm not wearing any pants. And that's pretty much like par for the course in my household, especially in the summer. At any given point, someone is half naked in our house. Usually it's my daughter. Like, the minute she's like me, the minute she gets home, the clothes are coming off. Clothing back on are optional. I mean, I'll usually be wearing a shirt at least, but you know, pants come off, and my husband's the same way, my son is the same way. So at any given time, someone in the house is either half naked or naked. So right now I have no pants on. So that's sort of the Hamonic Kaler household for you. So yeah, I love it. I'm so happy I finished it against all the odds. And I'm really happy I knit it. Now, I don't think I'm gonna run out and knit another one anytime soon because I didn't enjoy the actual experience. But I would actually consider doing this pattern again because it's such a well-written, good pattern. I mean, Shellie Anderson for Shibui Knits is fantastic. And a part of that are the German short rows. I mean, I just love the way she uses German short rows for shaping, especially the neck and the shoulders. But I would consider doing this tank top again in a wool or a wool silk blend or something. Probably a really fine wool silk drapey fabric again. I won't do it in linen again. I'll never say never, but I highly doubt I will ever knit with 100% linen ever again. It's not my thing. I did not enjoy it, but I love the finished product and I love the pattern. I'll definitely knit the pattern again, maybe in a cotton wool blend or something like that. So yeah, next week here in East Tennessee, we're gonna be still having some high 80s, low 90s weather, so I'll still be able to wear it. So I'm excited about that. And I don't follow these, no summer clothes or no white shoes after Labor Day. That used to be a thing. I don't know if it still is. I don't follow those rules, so I'll still wear summer clothes after Labor Day. Yeah, so I have a finished object. Yay, 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 yay. Very pleased. Shellie Anderson, the Athens tank top. Shibui Knits, fingering weight, reed, 100% linen in the shore colorway. The perfect summer blue, I think. Absolutely. And this is all that I have left. And I knitted the extra small, like the smallest size you could, and I'm not an extra small, but that's just the way these patterns in linen anyway fit me. And I've got plenty of room. Like I've worn this every day since I finished it, so this is my 3rd day wearing it. And I think I need to maybe wash it and put it in the dryer. I really don't know if linen shrinks. I know that I've worn linen clothes that shrink, but I don't know if something like this will shrink. We'll see. If it shrinks up a bit, no problem, because it's still quite roomy and quite big, And I know that it'll soften up as I wash it. Very, very happy. So I suggest the pattern for sure. And if you like linen, it's a beautiful linen. It's a very nice linen yarn. So my finished object. Now, because I was working on this like crazy, and it's a lot of knitting. It's a lot of knitting in a fingering weight, long tunic style tank top. So not a lot of my other projects got a whole lot of attention. But one that, since I cast this on, that's been getting attention is I've returned to my floating shawl, part of the Shawl Society 4 by Helen Stewart. She's got 3 names: Helen Stewart, Hell's Bells, Curious Handmade. I think Curious Handmade is like the main one now. I don't know if she uses Hell's Bells anymore. That used to be her Ravelry handle. Anyway, I'm part of her Shawl Society 4, and I've knit Sea Gleam, and now I'm almost done, well, not almost, the floating shawl. It's a huge semicircle shawl, mostly garter stitch, so I was very much lost in the garter stitch land for a long time, and then this languished for a while on the needles because I wanted to get this done, and this took a long time to finish, I'm not gonna lie. So this sat around, oh, and I have a new cast on, but I'll show that in just a sec. This sat around for a while, and then I picked it up the other day, and I've finally gotten to the lace section. So the, ocean's worth of garter stitches over, and now I'm into the lace, and it's quite a pretty lace pattern. And there's 519 stitches on the needles at this point, and I have to say, I do mess it up a lot. Like, even though I'll often have the right amount of stitches, somehow I always mess up the lace. And I'm a pretty good lace knitter. I mean, I'm not scared off by it. I think I'm just a little too tired and distracted when I'm doing it, because I'm almost always watching TV when I'm doing it, when I'm knitting at night after the kids have gone to bed. So I don't know what I'm gonna do. I mean, I think it's still looking good. It's not interfering because I'm close enough. I'm only ever, sometimes it's perfect, sometimes I'm one stitch off, but it looks to me like the stitch pattern's gonna be okay. So I think this is gonna switch up to be my car knitting, because I have socks in my car that I'll knit when I'm waiting in line for the kids to get out of school, because they go to a school that doesn't have buses. We have to pick them up and drop them off. So maybe in the car line when I can't watch TV or anything like that. I usually just have easy knitting. And even though this isn't easy knitting, at least I can't watch TV while I'm doing it. But having said that, that's only 5 minutes of knitting a day, that 5 to 10, maybe 15 minutes of knitting a day that I get to do in the car line, picking up Oscar. And it takes me, in the lace section, because I have to pay so much attention, plus as I watch TV, it can take 20 to 25 minutes for me to get through one row because there's so many stitches. So it's a beast. I've never done this kind of a shawl before. I'm usually, you know, crescent or asymmetrical. So it's huge. It's gonna be a beast, but I love it. It's been a real joy to knit. The yarn is my own yarn, Medusa yarn and fiber, in my Titans base, 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon. And when I first showed this to you guys, I sold out of it. I dyed up some more and I sold out of that. But I do have, I believe, one more skein in the Titans base, and I will be dyeing up more soon. So if you've been waiting, or if you want to reserve your own skeins and put in a custom order on any of my bases, I'll definitely do that as well. I do special orders. Of course, you have to put down a payment, but I will do it. Yeah, I love it. It's a great knit, beautiful color. I just love it, and I've been really enjoying it. So that's my floating shawl by Curious Handmade, the incomparable Helen Stewart. All right, my other work in progress that I've been working on just a little bit, I haven't made a whole lot of progress since I showed it to you guys last, is my Anasha sweater by Jennifer Steingass. It's a very nice, simple, yet elegant yoke work sweater, top down, knit in the round sweater. And I haven't really made a whole lot of progress since I saw you guys since I last showed it, like hardly any progress because of the other things I've been working on. And I'm not gonna lie, I made a mistake on the current row that I've been working on. And the last time I picked this up was a couple of weeks ago, and it was late at night. I was knitting in front of the TV, half a bottle of wine in, that's always the case, and I made a mistake. And what I love about color work is you can read your knitting and spot the mistakes immediately. So I do have to do some picking back, but only a little bit to figure out where I went wrong. So can you guys hear that? Oscar, can you turn it down just a smidge, honey? Okay. Thank you. The things these kids watch nowadays, or play. I don't know, it's this Minecraft thing. It's the weekend. He's allowed to play video games for a little while on the weekend. Anyways, here we go. Beautiful, beautiful sweater by Jennifer Steingass, one of my favorite designers. The wool is a real treat to knit with. It is the Jameson Shetland Spindrift. I think it's a 4-ply jumper weight. And it's in the Osprey colorway, and I've talked about how fascinating this colorway is. Like, is it brown? Is it gray? Is it blue? Is it purple? Like, it's just amazing. I cannot believe what a dynamic, complicated color this yarn is. Yet, if you just look at it, you think, no big deal. But once you start to knit with it, and once you start to pair colors with it, it starts to get really, really interesting really fast. Now, I like knitting with these types of rustic yarns. I've knit with Jamieson's and Smith before, and they're connected, right? They're very similar yarn. This one of the balls I used, it broke a lot. Kind of like one of the Brooklyn tweed yarns is supposed to do that a lot. Is it Shelter? I can't remember. They're very, not delicate yarns, but they just tend to break a lot. And I had that happen with one of the balls because they're very small balls, just 25 grams, 105 meters per gram. So I'm going through the balls quickly. And there was just one that I'm gonna have a lot of ends to weave in because it kept breaking. But that's okay because it's a rustic yarn and it'll be nice and sticky. The contrasting color is the eggshell, which is the faintest, prettiest blue. You'll have to excuse, I'm sitting by the window, so I think the sun just went away, but it's the faintest, prettiest, baby, powdery, soft blue. And I really like it. This one I haven't had a problem with at all, like no breaking, nothing. And I'll probably only need the one ball, although I have two. If you haven't knit one of Jennifer Steingass's sweaters, I highly suggest it. And again, she's another German short row shaper. A lot of the really good designers use German short rows, and it makes all the difference in how a sweater fits, particularly around the neck. It's just, I love her patterns, love them. All right, what else should I talk about? Well, my socks, my cinema socks, I'm not even pulling them out because they haven't changed much. And my Reagan sweater, I haven't touched since at least 2 podcasts ago. So I'm not gonna pull that out either. I'm gonna wait until I get one of these off the needles before I go back to the Reagan. Probably the shawl. I need to get the shawl off because her latest one, the 4th one, was released, and it's a huge lace weight wrap, and I really want to do it. It looks stunning, and it's going to be probably an all winter project. I'm not going to rush that one because it's a huge lace weight, lacy wrap. If you can hear my daughter screaming for me, I'm just going to ignore her because that's the way I roll. All right, now I'm going to show you my latest cast on, and I'm somewhat excited about the project. It's a hat, and I haven't knit a hat in a long time, but I'm much more excited about the yarn because it's a new base that I'm trying. So first of all, the pattern is the filigree hat by Woolly Wormhead, and I'll put a picture of it here. And I decided I wanted to knit a nice hat, a nice fingering weight, so sort of a dressier hat, and I needed to try out my new base. It's my Sirens base. It's 70% superwash merino, 30% silk, single ply, and I love it. There's something about the silk merino combination that makes the colors look so vibrant. This is my Brizzo colorway, and I'll talk about it in a minute. It's more of a teal blue, but it's showing up a little bit more of a dark blue right now. Let me see if well, blue has to be the hardest color to get across on the camera accurately, I'm telling you. Certain blues anyway. Let me see. I mean, the blue I'm wearing looks the same, but it's these tealish blues, more vibrant blues. Anyway, I'm knitting it with my Sirens base, so brand new base, because I'm a huge fan of single ply yarn. I love it. But of course it's pretty fuzzy for garments, and I mean, I'm not so hard on my knits that I wouldn't knit a garment in single ply. I would. Like, I mean, I'm one of those people who will knit anything with anything. But I also want to do a sturdier single ply and get it part of my inventory. So it's my Sirens base because it's absolutely irresistible. If you all know the story of the Sirens. And look at this. I'm kicking it up old school. I'm knitting this hat on double pointed needles. I've never done that. Well, I used to knit with double pointed needles, but I haven't in such a long time. But look at the depth of color. What do you need, sweetheart? She probably wants me to change a channel or something. I'm gonna have to pause and come right back. All right, I'm back. I apologize. I took that little break. I took the opportunity to get my kids a snack and to pour myself a beer. Hey, it's a long weekend. It's mid-morning. Half dressed. Oscar, come here. See? His shirt is off the minute we walked in the door, but that's because it was his dress shirt. I think my daughter's dressed, so that's good. Where was I? Oh yes, I started knitting this hat in double pointed needles. But it's getting to the point where I'm doing increases now and my double pointed needles are too short. So I am gonna switch over to knitting in the round as soon as I find the correct needles, because they're really small. I'm knitting it on a 2.25 needle. That's really skinny. That's what I usually knit my socks on. So I don't have interchangeables or fixed circulars that small. So I'm gonna have to see if I can order some online. I don't know if my local yarn stores carry them either. But yeah, so I'm gonna do that and then continue on. And I'm loving it. I mean, look at that depth of color. It's just amazing. And the further back I go, maybe the more teal it gets, the truer it gets. Well, anyways, stunning. So let me talk about this. It's my Brizzo colorway, and it was just recently featured on a Stranded podcast. Amy Florence of a Stranded Dyer, you know what I mean. Her amazing podcast. Because when she came here to East and Central Tennessee, in July, and I tried making her my BFF, I gave her some yarn, although she doesn't even remember my name. But that's okay. I gave her my Brizzo colorway on my MCN base, my Olympians base, which is merino, cashmere, and wool. And I gave her a skein plus a skein of my orange volunteer colorway. And so she mentioned it on her podcast. And I started to get requests for it. And I usually don't have a lot of it in stock because it's the first color to always sell out at any fiber festival. And I don't do as many online sales simply because it's a lot to do, right? To run a business from your home while you also work and have kids. But I'm trying to do that more and more. So I decided to bring it back and have it in stock as always, and to also accept special orders. So I've got a few left on my Sirens base. So the 30% silk, 70% superwash merino, that's what I'm knitting on right now. I've also got it on some yet to be named colors, but I'll be naming them soon. And this one I absolutely love. I just came up with it. It's a new colorway. And I don't think I'm gonna put this colorway on any other base. I think it's only gonna be on my Sirens base. I think that it's just, I just adore it. But it's kind of a greenish gray or a grayish green. But again, the depth of color is stunning. And I just absolutely love it. And this particular base is a very tight twist. So it's perfect for shawls. And it can also be knitted up in a garment. I haven't knitted a garment in it yet, but I'm going to after this project. Maybe this, with this, a color work. Isn't that just beautiful? Like the green as the body and the purple as the contrasting color. Anyway, I've got all sorts of skeins in test colors that are yet to be named that will be on the website, medusayarn.com. And I'm pretty thrilled with this base. And thank you, Sharon, for being my guinea pig, a new customer and someone I've been communicating with. Sharon, another fellow Canadian, agreed to be my guinea pig for trying it and knitting it up. So let me know how that's going, Sharon. She got 3 skeins in the Merlot colorway. Now, another thing I want to talk about is my Muses base. Again, this is the Brizzo colorway on my Muses base. So here it is on Sirens. Here it is on the Muses. And what the Muses is it's my signature base. It's my most popular base, and it's my luxury base. So it's 70% baby alpaca, 20% silk, 10% cashmere. And it's, I mean, to touch it is to buy it. I usually don't even bother putting it on my website. Usually I sell out. It's the first thing I sell out of in this color, but then there's other colors too. I've got a soft buttery yellow. I've got all sorts of grays and light purples and light grays and a dark charcoal gray. I almost always sell out of this yarn at shows within the first 5 hours. And this is always the first one to go on the Brizzo colorway. And Brizzo is the ancient Greek goddess of mariners and fishermen. That's why it's called Brizzo. But I decided, you know, maybe I will put it on the website because enough people have bought it from me by now that they're not going to be too scared off by the price tag. It's an expensive skein of yarn. But if you've touched it or knitted with it, you'll know why it's an expensive skein of yarn. And I thought, you know what, I'm just going to go ahead and stock it on the website and make it available if anybody is interested. But I only dye Muses and the Sirens, my newest one, in solid and semi-solid colorways. These yarns are so luxurious and so soft. I mean, this has been described to me as soft as buttered kittens, right? That saying, soft as buttered kittens. You know, that's what people say about this. I only dye it on solids and semi-solids. I won't speckle it. I won't really variegate it because the yarn is so soft and so luxurious. Any sort of dramatic or adventurous color will compete too much with the yarn. It's just perfect the way it is, and it does not need to be changed in any way. So always solids and semi-solids, mostly vibrant jewel tones, but also some soft tones as well. So again, the website is stocked and ready to go, so check it out. And I'm always adding more and more stuff. So if you don't see what you like one week, check it out another week. Now, as you noticed from these ones, that I'm a huge fan of greens and purples. And to me, it's one of my favorite color combinations, the way they complement each other. So whenever I see a skein of yarn that has purple and green in it, I buy it. And so I decided to come up with my own, and that's what I've done. This is on my Titans base, and it is a very deep, dark purple with a vibrant green and then a little bit of speckling of browns, greens, and purples throughout. So this is my new color, and I will be naming it sometime today. And look at, it's got, you can't tell the way this one's skeined up, but it's got some white, not white, but lighter spots that are speckled. Anyways, it's a lot of fun. It's a beautiful colorway. This is on my Titans base, and here it is on my MCN base to give you an idea of how a colorway changes from base to base. And yeah, I love it, and I think it's going to be a repeatable colorway. Not all of my colorways are repeatable. I just like to have a lot of fun in the dye pot, and I don't like to feel like I have to dye any particular color at any given point. This one I'll dye again, and I'll be knitting up a sample soon. Probably a cute hat or something. Hats are always fun to knit up if you're not sure about a new colorway. But I'm pretty sure about this one. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. Oh yeah. Yeah, and you get the light greens in there. A lot of depth. I'm sorry, I'm bragging an awful lot for Canadian, aren't I? Those are my fun dye pot adventures. If you're interested in any of these skeins of yarn or taking a look at what else I've got on my website, go for it. The huge summer sale that I was having is over, but there are still some sale skeins if you're interested in checking it out that are 20% off. And I also have a shipping sale on, $5 flat rate shipping anywhere in the US, continental US. If you spend more than $50, it's free shipping. And for international shipping, Canada and overseas, $10 flat rate, or spend over $100 and free shipping. So if it's the shipping costs that sometimes deter you from shopping online, go and check that out because it's a pretty good deal. All right, well, I'm gonna get back to knitting because I've got a couple more hours before my husband gets home and we start our sort of fun family game night. So I gotta get some knitting and some beer drinking in before that happens. Happy Labor Day weekend. Take care.